All right, welcome back. This next segment is for all you parents out there. You know it doesn't come with an instruction book, but today we're talking about how you as a parent kind of have to change with your child. We're talking about the tall challenge, especially of changing with that child during those teenage years, and it could be very difficult. And joining us today to talk about this is Dr. Bill Baker with Grayson and Associates. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm always glad to be here.
Okay, so today we're talking about parenting skills, but something that you can actually teach to your child, which is negotiating, right?
That's correct, Maggie. As a licensed marriage and family therapist, I've worked with many parents and teenagers, and there is usually a great deal of tension and stress around this issue of getting permission to do things. The teenager's goal is to get permission from parents to do things.
Right.
The parent's goal is to give permission while protecting the health and safety of the teenager. And so the teenager needs to be taught some kind of way to negotiate with the parents, that is, to work together for mutual benefit. Now, the teen has to remember that the parents are in charge, they have the final say, and so forth. But in using a negotiation process, the teenager hopefully will be able to get permission more often, gain more credibility with the parents, and to grow in the overall relationship with the parents.
Okay, so this is really a win-win situation for both the parent and the child. So what is the process like? What does the child have to do?
Well, to improve his batting average, that is getting more yeses, the teenager needs to do several things. It begins by preparing his case well. That is, gathering all the information he knows his parents have to have before they can even consider saying yes. Things like where and when and with whom, and transportation and financial costs and adult supervision and so forth, including how he can reassure his parents that his health and safety will not be at risk. His goal, Maggie, is to lay all that information out so they will not have any questions to ask, because he knows that his chances for a yes go down with every question they have to ask. And so once he does that, then he sets the scene. He requests a time to talk with them. He never barges in, never interrupts their activities. He requests a time with them, and then he lays out his case carefully, promising them that he will accept their response respectfully, whatever their response may be. And if they say yes, he thanks them. If they say no, then he may negotiate by offering to get more information as needed, or to do some extra work to earn the privilege. But if they still say no, then he thanks them for listening, and he retreats from the scene respectfully, because he's building for the future.
That's right.
He's hoping that in years to come, his number of yeses will become greater and greater. It's a great process.
It is a great process, and it's a great learning process for the future is when they become an adult. But here's the thing, parents, they have a responsibility to the child as well. What should the parent be doing when a child comes to them and makes their case? Well,
it is the parent's job to provide for the child, and then as he becomes a teenager, a process for asking for permission. And as parents, the parents need to make themselves available, and they need to be approachable. They need to mention to the teenager that they prefer to say yes as often as possible. And they need to model respect in terms of listening to the entire case the child presents before giving their response. They maintain control. They stay in charge of the overall situation. And in working through this, they help the child to mature into a teenager and then into an adult through this learning how to negotiate. And when a process like this is used in the family, there's much more cooperation and much less family stress.
And I would assume that it would be a lot easier to get through those teenage years if you really develop this skill set in your child before they hit the teens, correct?
If we wait till then, it's still workable.
It's workable, but the challenge is definitely still there. So what age can you actually start initiating this type of skill set in your child? I mean, you really can start at a very young age, can't you?
Well, I would think by the time a child is entering first grade, elementary school, he is well able, cognitively to start getting used to these things. And so the parent has to teach this child that before you come and get permission, especially for some something significant, here is the kind of information you know I have to have before I can say yes. Most parents, when they say no, do so because of insufficient information.
That's right.
And so if the teenagers don't provide that, they're asking for trouble.
All right.
So go get the information and then be respectful and accept the response and build for the future.
All right, negotiating. Thank you so very much, Dr. Baker. You always bring us some great advice, especially parenting advice for all those parents out there.
Glad to be back.